In this demo, we will go over application protection policies. All right, what I'm going to do is I've logged on to the Azure portal. We're going to go to Intune. Okay, and then once we get into Intune, over here on the left under Manage, we're going to come to Client Apps. Okay, and we're going to stay in this area under Manage, and we will see App Protection Policies. Okay, so at this point, once we come in here, okay, you'll see Create Policy. Okay, and you will see any existing policies that you have right now. Okay, but we're going to drop this down. Okay, and we're going to see iOS, iPad, OS, Android, Windows 10. Let's go and do one for Windows 10. Okay, let's call it Office Apps for Enrolled Devices. Okay, now at this point we can give it a description, okay, and then from there we're going to clarify whether it's going to be enrolled or not. Okay, now at this point we'll drop this down. Okay, we have with enrollment, without enrollment. Okay, so I'm going to do with enrollment and then go next. Okay, now it wants to know what app or what apps, plural, we want to protect with this application protection policy. So we're going to select Add here, okay, under Protected Apps. You also have exempt apps, meaning they do not have to adhere to this policy. Okay, maybe they don't understand the policy itself or will not work that way, so you can always exempt. Okay, but that would be in your planning phase. Okay, so we're going to add, and at this point we select the app or apps plural, okay, that we want to protect with this policy. Okay, so I'm going to add Excel, PowerPoint, let's say maybe OneNote and Word. Okay, a couple of the, I could add the whole Office suite here, of course, but we'll just kind of grab some at random here and select OK. Okay, so the idea at this point is I'm going to protect the data, okay, and all these apps, and of course I can still manage these devices because they're enrolled. Okay, now when we go next here, we're going to see required settings, okay, and for the most part here you'll see change the scope or removing this policy will decrypt corporate data, okay. Now Windows information protection mode, you have block, allow overrides, silent, and off. Okay, so the idea here is you have block, and this will block data from basically leaving this application and interacting with other applications. Okay, allow overrides, or where it will prompt the user if it's okay to display that data in a different app. Okay, and then if we come over here, now remember the little I will kind of give us information about it. Okay, so if we take a look at block, you'll see right there it shows blocks enterprise data from leaving protected apps. Okay, allow overrides. User is prompted when attempting to relocate data from protected to a non-protected app. If they choose to override this prompt, the action will be logged. Okay, then silent. User is free to relocate data off of a protected app. Okay, these actions are logged as well, but this one will not warn them. That's your difference. So it's kind of like a silently continue. Okay, and then off just turns it off altogether. User is free to relocate data off protected apps. No actions are logged. Okay, so at this point we're going to say block, okay, because we want to protect that corporate data from leaving that app and interacting with other apps. Okay, we're going to go next, and this will get us to the advanced settings. Okay, now at this point if we come down a little bit, okay, you'll see in here any network boundaries you have will show up here. Okay, now boundaries are really subnets for the most part. Okay, but we won't worry about that. Okay, but right up here, or right down here, you'll see Enterprise Proxy Server List is authoritative. Now, this is basically whether you want to allow Windows to try to detect your proxy servers, your IP ranges, okay, which is really a boundary. Okay, there's many things that can be a boundary. An Active Directory site can be a boundary as well, but in the simplest form, we'll say an IP subnet. Okay, now we're going to bypass that part. That's just whether you want it to detect. the network or in the proxy server. Okay, but right here where it starts to get a little bit more important. Now, data protection, uploaded data recovery agent. Now, this is for EFS, encrypted file system. Now, that is something we are actually going to see just very mildly later in the course. Okay, but whenever you use EFS, it's a part of the NTFS file system, and it will allow users to encrypt individual files. Now, with that being said, it gives them a certificate, whether it is self-signed, which means it comes from the registry, or it comes from a CA, a certificate authority, from a managed solution. Okay, but at that point, the recovery agent is guaranteed to recover the data. Okay, so we can manually designate recovery agents, and we can add certificates in here to recover that data. Okay, but EFS is a part of the Windows operating system. Okay, so we're going to move down a little bit here. Prevent corporate data from being accessed by apps when the device is locked. Okay, so whether you want to do that or not. Okay, now remember the little bubble will also help you. Okay, if anything gets a little confusing here, you'll see revoke encryption keys on unenroll, and that is turned on. Okay, so it will literally revoke the decryption keys at that point, and the encryption keys, meaning you will no longer access that data. Okay, from there, show enterprise data protection icon. This will show an icon of the protection. It will basically show the user that the app is under a protected policy. Okay, and then whether we're going to use RMS for WIP, okay, Windows Information Protection. Okay, now this is something we're going to see, I want to say, in Chapter 9. Okay, so right now, we're going to make light of it, okay, but this is where we can take it to a whole nother level and prevent them from printing out data, copy and pasting it, of course, screenshots, forwarding an email. Okay, so this uses something called RMS, which is Rights Management Services, and then it also uses something called Rights Policy Table. Okay, so that is something I'm going to put on the back burner just for a little bit longer here, but it does allow us to kind of control the document and the application, even though it's in the end user's possession. Okay, now from there, if we're using any encrypted file extensions, we can clarify them here as well. Okay, and we're going to go next. Okay, so at this point, once we kind of feel like we've built our application protection policy, dot the I's, cross the T's, okay, we're going to assign it. Okay, so at this point, we'll see select groups to include. Okay, so we're going to organize our devices, of course, place them in groups. Okay, I'm going to do the BYOD group again. Okay, now from there we can of course assign it to more than one group as well if we want to. Okay, and at that point we just kind of review it. And if we feel it is appropriate, we create. And that's how we create an application protection policy with Windows Intune. Okay, and then we can always come back in, go to properties, and edit anything if need be as well. Okay, so if by chance we decide to make a little subtle change, we most certainly can.